Hello and welcome, everyone. First, thank you so much for being here. Whether you're a volunteer, ambassador, chapter leader, board member, donor, sponsor, partner, or someone who simply believes every life matters, welcome to the Promise to Live family. Truly honored to have you here. Now, I want to share who we are, why we exist, what we believe, and how every one of us can help save lives by creating connection before crisis. Before we get started, I wanted you to know something. You don't have to be a therapist. You don't have to have all the answers. All you have to do is simply care enough to show up. This is where Promise to Live begins. Now, here's a little bit about my story. I am an Army veteran. I'm the daughter of a single mother. I worked in TV news. I worked for Fox News. I built a video production company. But along the way, I also worked in military and law enforcement. I've lost friends. And in 2021, I almost lost my daughter to suicide. And it wasn't the first time. It was actually the second time. The first time we didn't talk about it, we buried it, the shame, the stigma, the fear. It was like a dirty, dark secret that we didn't talk about. But when it happened 2 years later, everything changed because we were in the hospital not knowing for nearly 2 days if my baby was going to make it or not. And I remember during that time feeling so helpless and hopeless and not knowing where to go or what to do. In fact, I did the most vulnerable video of my entire life in the hospital parking lot where I had volunteered for 7 years doing spiritual care, and nobody dies alone. It's way different when it's somebody you love or someone you care about. And I was sitting in my car and I knew I needed help. And I knew I couldn't do the same thing and expect different results. So I did a video on my personal Facebook and I just said, I'm here tonight as a parent and not as a volunteer. And my child tried to take their life and I don't know what to do and I need help. And it was the most vulnerable I'd ever been. And that video went viral. Overnight, it got over 12,000 views from people around the world. I woke up to hundreds of messages in my inbox. And I was so surprised because when you're in crisis, you can't remember everything. But I knew I had a few friends who had gone through it, and I just needed help. I didn't know where to turn. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to trust. And it was this very helpless feeling. I got all these messages, and I was really shocked and surprised by some of the people who had reached out. And I go back into the hospital, and my phone rings, and I got a message from NBC asking me to share my story. Because I worked in TV news for many years, I have a lot of friends in the media industry. And I was actually really upset. I remember that world because I was in it for a long time. If it bleeds, it leads. That's what they say. And so here I was in this moment where my heart was breaking and my life was falling apart and I was in total despair. And the media is asking me for an interview. I was really pretty frustrated by that. And I said, absolutely not. I will not do an interview. But it was that afternoon I was begging God to save my daughter, just begging for a second chance. And, whatever beliefs you have, you're totally welcome to them. But this is my story. This is why Promise to Live began. And at that moment, I was begging God for a miracle. And I heard a message that said, Brandy, I will give you a second chance. There will not be a third. What will you do? And I said, I'll do anything. And I heard, felt anything. And I said, anything. And literally within about 1 hour, my child woke up and was fully functional. And I know that that was a miracle. It was a miracle for me that she was functional. And I asked her at that point in time, I said, are you glad you're alive or do you really wish you would have died? And she said, Mom, I didn't want to die. I just wanted the pain to stop. And it was too late. And this is what we know. This is what I've learned along the way is nobody wants to end their life. Nobody wants to kill themselves. They want to kill the pain. But often they don't know how to kill the pain without doing that action. And this is what we want to prevent. And so what happened was, we ended up spending time in the hospital. We went to an inpatient. We went to a day treatment. But it was about 2 weeks later, my friends at NBC called me back and they said, we've never seen suicide rates this high. This is in 2021. Nobody will talk. Will you please reconsider? Guys, I did not want to talk. I didn't want to be the face, the voice. I didn't want anything to do with this. But I had made a promise that if my child was saved, I would do whatever it took. I didn't mean that. But I reluctantly agreed and I did the interview with NBC and I said what I had learned in those 2 weeks. And this is what I'll say to you right now. This is one of the messages we've been sharing is I would ask everyone to check on the people they love, even your coworkers, your friends, your spouse, your parents, your siblings, and ask them point blank, are you suicidal? Honest questions get honest answers, and studies show you're not going to plant an idea. So what happened for me is when I did the interview, I said that. I said, if you're watching right now, stop what you're doing and go ask your kid point blank. And after it aired, I got a message from a father, and he said, you just saved my daughter's life. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, I watched your story on the news. I went to go talk to my 14-year-old, and she was in the process of trying to end her life. She had written her note. I got to her in time. We're at the hospital getting help. Thank you. I knew that's why I had had to do the interview. And the next day, I got another message from a family who said, thank you for being so vulnerable, which it was, and it was really, really hard for me to do this interview. They said, we watched your story on the news. We talked to our 15-year-old, and he confessed he was going to kill himself. We're getting help. This was an eye-opener for me because I knew that my personal story on local news had saved 2 lives, just that I knew of, that reached out to me and said, you saved my child's life. And I thought to myself, I've been in production for many years. I own Vega Media Studios, a video production company. And I thought to myself, if my story, and I'm no expert, could save 2 lives that I know about, reaching local media, 40, 50,000 views maybe, what if we could reach hundreds of thousands or millions? And I remember back to 1985, I was just a little kid, but I remember Live Aid and thinking, man, that was so cool. When it really counted, people came together. This is the biggest issue of our lives. And I thought, well, what if we could bring people together to share hope and healing and resources and tools? And so we set that up. On September 10th, which happens to be World Suicide Prevention Day, we did our very first ever global live stream. And I know, as somebody who does video production and media, that if we want to reach people, we have to reach them where they are, on the devices and tools that they use, through the people and the companies that they already know, trust, and follow. So we did it right here out of my studio in Salt Lake City, and we live streamed on TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and I had all these experts and survivors and stories, and we came and just shared these messages of hope. In our very first year, we reached around 160,000 people. Our second year, we did it again on September 10th, 400,000. The third year, we did it. We moved it to Hollywood, to the Avalon Theater. We reached just over 3 million. In 2025, we reached around 7 million. And that number continues to grow because people need hope and help and healing. And it started with the promise, and I want to share why this is important. I made a promise, and when my daughter woke up, I asked her to promise me that if she ever found herself in that dark place again, that she would reach out to me, her dad, her teacher, friend, family, resource. And she made that promise. And I said to her at that time, I said, I know you don't want to be here, but I know you love me. And would you please make a promise that you'll reach out? Because I can tell you so far, I would have quit. This work is way too hard if it weren't for the power of a promise. And one thing that is really important for you to note is that studies show that people who make a promise ahead of time, these are promises in general, but they're more than 60% likely to keep it. This is key. This is how we shift from awareness to action and accountability. So one of the hardest moments of my life came through my daughter's suicide attempt. And now Promise2Live is a mission that drives every single thing we do. And I'm going to share our mission statement. And this is something so important and so powerful that I want everyone to know it, memorize it, learn it. Here it is. Promise2Live saves lives by helping people promise to reach out, connecting them to trusted tools and resources, and building a community of connection before crisis. Now, our mission is simple. Why do we have everyone make the promise to live? Because we know that research behind the power of a promise. We have them reach out before crisis instead of during one. Why does accountability matter? Because sometimes we don't love ourselves enough to want to stay. Often, we don't love ourselves enough to want to stay. But we love the person that we're talking to. We love our family. We love our friends. And we do it for them. And sometimes that's enough to get you through the hard time. And the last thing is humans, the one thing that all of us have, the number one most important thing we have is our word, our integrity. And when we give that, sometimes we'll stick around because of our integrity or our word or because of the purpose or the person that we've made the promise to. Now, that doesn't always work. We're not saying it's a fix-all. It's not. But it is something that helps. And we've seen it and we've heard stories and we have a lot of testimonials. So our very first step is, everyone, please make the promise to live, which is a promise to reach out. Then the next thing we do is we connect. No one should ever struggle alone. We don't come into the world alone. We shouldn't go out alone. We need friends. We need family. We need community. We need trusted adults, faith leaders, professionals. All of us sometimes need that, and community resources. What I couldn't find in the hospital were these resources in one place. So we connect people to resources in one place. If you go to our website, asking for help is truly a sign of strength, not of weakness. And the more we talk about it, the more we stop the shame and the stigma. Our next pillar is connection. And this is really where healing begins. Connection and community. Community changes lives. We all need to know that we belong. We need to know that somebody cares, that we're seen, that our life matters, and connection should begin before crisis, meeting people where they are. And we're doing this a lot of ways. We do these through our town halls. We do these through community events, business events, veteran events, faith communities, media, speaking out. We do the Hollywood Global live stream. We've done our galas here in town, our 1 Million Hugs for Hope tour. Everything that we do comes back to creating connection before crisis. So we're doing some of these things both online and some of these things in person, and we want to build the community. So we ask people to make the promise because it is so key. It's not just another awareness campaign. It's action. It's accountability. It's making the decision before it gets too hard. Now, one of the reasons and one of the things that we've done to make it easier is the pocket hug. This is a pocket hug. It's small, it's simple. I think it's worth more than gold, and it carries a message that every single one of us needs to hear. You matter, you're not alone, and someone cares. Hi there, I'm Brandy Vega. I'm the founder of Promise2Live, and right now somewhere someone is struggling. They might look fine, they might be smiling, and they might show up just like everyone else, but inside, they're carrying something super heavy, and most of the time, they won't say anything. We're losing too many, and that's why we've created Promise2Live, and that is why we are launching 1 Million Hugs for Hope. It's 1 million chances to connect, 1 million reminders for people that someone cares and that you're seen. But this only works if we do it together, if we start here. So right now, I'm gonna ask each and every one of you to do this. Make a promise to live. That means if you ever find yourself in a dark place, you promise to reach out for help. That can be to a friend, a family member, a trusted resource, or call or text 988. Will you promise you'll do that? Because that single decision can save a life. In fact, studies show that you're 60% more likely to keep a promise you make ahead of time. Even when we don't love ourselves enough to want to stay, we love you, or we want to honor our word. And when you make the promise to live, you get a coin to keep as a reminder of the promise you just made, as a reminder that you're loved and that you're seen, and you get a coin to give. Now we're going to show you some ways that you can give that coin.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. I just saw you sitting here and wanted to come over and say hi. Oh, I've got this pocket hug for you. Wanted to let you know that you matter. The back says when times are tough and you don't know what to do, this is a hug from me to you. But it's just something to keep with you to know that you matter. You're very welcome.
Okay, one sec, I got something for you. Okay, I want to give you a hug. Can I give you a hug? It has a message on the back. It says, when times are tough and you don't know what to do, here's a hug from me to you. I just want you to know that you're awesome, you're special and important, and the world's better because you're in it. I've got 4 more. Make sure everybody there knows that they're awesome and loved, and give them a hug. Thank you. You could go to promise2live.org for more information and to get your pocket hugs. We need you. You matter, and you are loved. All of you should have seen the pocket hug. And some people have asked the backstory. And when I'm out and about in the community, I don't often tell the backstory, but this is for the team. I want you to understand who we are and where these things started from. So a few years back, I got a letter in the mail that had a generic coin. And the letter said something in it that said, Brandy, I follow you online. I see everything you're doing with Promise to Live. I admire that, but has anybody checked on you? And it said, how are you really doing? And there was a generic coin that just said pocket hug with a heart on it. And on the back, it had a message that said, a similar message about if things are tough, here's a hug from me to you. And I just thought that meant so much to me that this person I'd only met one time took the time, one, to handwrite and mail me a letter. Two, it had the coin and it said something that nobody had said to me. And so I took that coin, I put it in my pocket, and I carried it in there for, 4 or 5 weeks. Every time I touched it, it was like this little bolt of energy shot through my soul. And I thought, wow, somebody cared about me. That's cool. And every time I felt it, I felt warm, and it gave me kind of courage. And so I just carried it around, and I found myself grasping it quite a bit. So what happened was, about 4 or 5 weeks after she had sent it to me, my friend asked me to speak at her son's funeral. I met this friend when I was volunteering with the hospital doing spiritual care and Nobody Dies Alone. And I had spoke at her daughter's funeral. She was a police dispatcher that had died, and her death was ruled suicide. I sat with her family for 5 or 6 weeks. I got to know them. When you are in tough situations and you're vulnerable, you build these relationships that are long lasting. And so I'd already spoke at her daughter's funeral 9 years earlier. And here it is 9 years later. And they called and said, our son died with an overdose. Would you please come and speak at his funeral? Now she just lost 2 of her 3 children. And I'm standing there getting ready to speak at the funeral, and I'm talking to the mother, and she's given permission. She's a dear friend. Her name's Kathy. And I was holding on to that coin, that pocket hug somebody sent me, and I felt inspired to give it to her. And I said, Kathy, somebody sent me this pocket hug, and I've carried it around, and I feel like you need to have it. And just know that I love you and I care about you, and it's a hug from me to you. Keep it with you. She messaged me a week later after the funeral, and the funeral, by the way, was heart-wrenching. It was devastating, but she said to me, she goes, Brandy, that coin got me through the hardest week of my entire life. On the days I thought I couldn't get out of bed, I didn't want to get out of bed, I didn't know how I could function, I didn't want to breathe. I held onto your coin, and it gave me comfort, and it gave me courage, and it helped me to get out of bed, and I felt like you were with me, and I felt like I had strength I didn't know I had. And that really struck me here, because I had felt sort of that same thing, and you look at it and you go, well, it's just a pocket hug, it's just a coin. But it wasn't that. It's the meaning, it's the feeling, it's the message, it's the love behind the coin. And so after she told me that, I thought to myself, well, if it did it for me and it did it for her, I think we should be doing this for everyone. If it can give hope and it can open the conversation, this is an easy way to have a hard conversation. I did it today in the drive-thru. I got my food, and then before I left, I said, can I give you a hug? And he's like, what? And I gave him the coin. And then I just said, I want you to know you matter. And he read it, and he said, thank you so much. I said, but you have to make me a promise. That simple act that took less than a minute, who knows what the ripple effect is going to be. So there's a lot that goes into the pocket hugs and the psychology behind giving it. When people make the promise to live, we give them a coin to keep, and we like to give them a coin to give. They keep their coin as a reminder of the promise that they just made, and as a reminder that they're loved, that they matter, that they're never alone. And then we challenge them. The second coin is meant to be given to someone else, typically within a week. And it says here on the back, when times are tough and you don't know what to do, here's a hug from me to you. And it also says call or text 988 if you're struggling. We want people to give this away within a week. Our goal is to give out the pocket hugs. We have the digital pocket hugs too, but what this does is it starts a conversation. It sparks hope. And you never know who needs it. Even the people who look like they've got it all together need it. In fact, we had a story recently where I was speaking at a senior center, and we were talking about how to do Promise to Live and what's going on. And afterward, one of these really successful gentlemen came up. He runs a multi-million-dollar company, and he pulls me aside. He goes, "I have to tell you something." And he got tears in his eyes. And he said, "A week ago, I was going to end my life." He said, "Now I'm the guy who has it all together. People come to me. I'm the vision of success. People come and talk to me when they're struggling. Never once in my life have I ever thought about ending my life or about hardships." And then last week it hit me like a ton of bricks. And I had some bad news and I didn't know what to do. And the feelings came. And he said, and I made a plan and I wrote my note. And I was getting ready to end my life. Nobody would have saw it coming. Nobody would have suspected it. He said, and as I was sitting at my desk in my office getting ready to leave my house for the last time, I looked down on the desk and I saw this Promise to Live pocket hug. And I picked it up. And when I picked it up, I felt something. And I read it. And I remembered the lady who had given it to me, a volunteer like you. He said, and I just held on to it for a while. And it caused me to pause. And I still didn't know what I was going to do. He goes, but I picked it up and I took it with me as I left. And then he just grabbed me and he hugged me for a long time. And he said, thank you. I'm here today. It's just a pocket hug. It's just a token. It's an act of kindness. It's a conversation. It's one life. We had another story where a lady came and found us at a convention and she goes, Brandy, you're the founder of Promise to Live. She goes, I came to one of your town halls and I got the pocket hug and I heard about the Promise to Live. And I was so excited because my husband's a Vietnam veteran and he struggles with his mental health. She goes, I came back home and I knew how to have the conversation. I knew what to say. She goes, and I asked him to make me the Promise to Live. She goes, and I gave him your coin and he read it and he promised me and he kept the coin with him. She goes, he keeps it in his pocket every morning, every night. The first thing he does when he gets up in the morning, he puts it in his pocket. When he goes to bed at night, he puts it on the nightstand. She goes, he carries this coin with him all the time. She goes, in fact, I've washed it at least a dozen times. You'll be happy to know they hold up just fine. But then she said to me a few weeks back, the demons got to be too much. A mix of alcohol and mental health and some PTSD. She said her husband stormed out the door and said he was done. Said he didn't want to be here anymore. And she didn't know what would happen. She said she sat there and she hoped and she prayed and she didn't know if she'd ever see him again. And in the morning, he came walking into the house. She told me he had tears in his eyes and he had this coin in his hand and he said, I am here right now because I made you a promise and because of this damn coin. We've heard a lot of these stories. It is a coin and it's not just the coin. It's the relationship. It's the promise that goes into it. So every coin you give out, please just don't give out a coin. Look people in the eye and get them to make you the promise. Everything that we do at Promise to Live points back to our original mission. We want to help people make a promise. We want to help people reach out. We want to help them connect. Helping people know that they are loved. Letting them know that they matter. Creating that connection before crisis. And I also want you to know that everything we do is made possible by people just like you. Whether you've got time, talent, resources, relationships, there is a place for you in our Promise to Live family. There's lots of things that you can do to get involved. If you just want to volunteer, if you want to become an ambassador, if you want to start a chapter anywhere in the world, if you want to be a promise keeper with a monthly donation of $9.88 so we can get the message out. If you want to sponsor a town hall, an assembly, an event, the 1 Million Hugs for Hope, the Hollywood Global live stream, there's lots of things that you can do with or without money, with or without time. You can partner with Promise to Live also if you have a business, if you have a nonprofit, if you have a faith community, veterans organization, or community partners. We want you to roll up your sleeves with us. We want to speak at your business conference, at your community event. There's so many things that we can do together. Now, I'm a veteran. I think I shared that. This is important to us because we work with a lot of different groups. We have our PALS program, which is the Peer Advocacy, Love, and Support, where we're reaching out to veterans, first responders, single moms, widowed, grief and loss. There's so many things that we can do. The number one most important thing that you need to have to be involved with Promise to Live is the desire. The desire in your heart that says, you know what, I'm going to do something because I've been directly or indirectly impacted. What I challenge everybody to do, if you can, carry pocket hugs with you. I take a stack of them every single day with me. I keep them in my car. I keep them in my backpack, my purse, my pocket, everywhere I go. And every day that I wake up, I think, for me, it's like, well, God, guide me. If somebody needs to know today that they matter, send me that direction. Whatever it is for you, whatever your belief is, keep them with you because this is an opportunity to have the conversations. You can buy them. You can get them sometimes as a volunteer. You can get people to sponsor them. There's all kinds of events. You can host a pocket hug roll-up, which is where you can roll up your dollars to support us in the work that we're doing. So if you own a business and you want to do a roundup or a roll-up campaign, a corporate match, you can do volunteers where we can come and assemble pocket hugs and kits and little outreach for the community. We can do this together. There's other things that you can do that don't require really any effort. You can attend one of our town halls. You can join us in our live streams. You can follow the tour. You can share some of this on your social media, share it on your story, share it with your community. But the number one thing that we want you to do is first for you, right? They talk about securing your own oxygen, right? Your own mask. We want you to do that same thing. So first, I hope all of you have made the promise to live. If you haven't, can we pause for just a minute? And can you make that promise that if you're struggling, you'll reach out? Because sometimes those of us that are doing the hard work are the ones who need this the most. We have to secure our own oxygen. And then we ask others to make the promise to live. Now, no matter how you choose to get involved, no matter what you choose to do, what resonates with you, you're helping us make a difference and save lives. I want to thank you for getting involved with Promise to Live. Welcome to our family. We're excited to have you join the movement. If you have ideas or suggestions, reach out to us, reach out to the team. Every single conversation, every day matters. Every act of kindness matters. Every person that you interact with, including yourself, matters. So next, we're going to have some safe messaging training where as a volunteer, we're required. We want you to watch this. It's about safe messaging, life-saving conversations, and how every single one of us can create connection before crisis. Thank you again for choosing to join Promise to Live. We appreciate your support, whether you're volunteering or just an avid cheerleader on the sidelines. We love and appreciate you.